Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Kepler Station and watched death coming toward him. Outside the thick metal windows, hundreds of alien ships filled the darkness of space. They looked like giant glass crystals that glowed with purple light. Each ship was 3 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. Jake had been in charge of Kepler Station for 2 years. It was the farthest human outpost from Earth, sitting alone at the edge of known space. The station was home to 5,000 people. Scientists, engineers, families, and children all lived here. Now they were all going to die. The alien ships belonged to something called the Vexthari Empire. Nobody knew much about them except that they were very smart and very angry. For the past 6 months, they had been attacking human colonies. Every time they showed up, the humans lost. Every single time. Dr. Lisa Carter rushed onto the bridge. Her face was pale, and her hands shook as she held a data pad. "Jake, the signal went out," she said. "Earth will know what happened here." Jake nodded, but did not feel better. Earth was weeks away, even with the fastest ships. The message would reach home long after everyone on Kepler Station was dead. "How long until they attack?" he asked. Lisa looked at her instruments. "The alien ships are moving into position, maybe 2 hours." Through the windows, Jake could see the crystal ships forming neat rows. They moved like they were dancing, each one in perfect step with the others. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Ryan Blake came running onto the bridge. He was the station's security chief, a big man with short black hair and worried eyes. "All civilians are heading to the safe areas," he said. "But Jake, our weapons won't do anything to those ships." Jake knew Ryan was right. 3 months ago, the colony on New Boston had tried to fight the Vexthari. The humans had fired everything they had. Missiles, energy beams, even nuclear weapons. Nothing worked. The alien ships seemed to let the weapons pass right through them like they were made of air. "How many people got to the escape pods?" Jake asked. "About 300, Ryan said. "But most families won't leave. They say if we're going to die, we die together." Jake understood. These people had built lives here. They had homes, friends, and memories. Running away in tiny escape pods to die alone in space did not seem better than staying. Dr. Carter was working at her station trying to learn more about the alien ships. "I'm picking up their communications," she said. "The computer is trying to translate." A voice came through the speakers. It sounded cold and strange, like metal scraping against glass. "Humans of the small station," the voice said, "you will surrender now. Your species is weak and causes disorder. We will remove you from this space." Jake picked up the communication device. His hands were steady, even though his heart was beating fast. "This is Commander Morrison of Kepler Station. We are not soldiers. We are scientists and families. We mean no harm." The alien voice came back quickly. "Harm is not the question. Your species thinks in chaos. You cannot be predicted. This makes you dangerous to the order we bring. You will surrender or be destroyed." Jake looked around the bridge. Lisa was still working at her station. Ryan stood ready to fight, even though they had no real weapons. Outside, more alien ships kept arriving. Soon, there would be 1,000 of them. "We will not surrender," Jake said into the communication device. "Then you will be removed," the alien voice replied. "Your species will learn that chaos cannot win. Against order." The communication went silent. Jake put down the device and looked at his friends. They had worked together for years. They had celebrated birthdays, shared meals, and watched each other's children grow up. Now they would face the end together. "How long do we have?" Jake asked. Lisa checked her instruments again. "They're charging their weapons. Maybe 1 hour now." Ryan was already moving. "I'll get our fighters ready. We have 12 ships. They're small but fast." Jake almost told him not to bother. 12 small human fighters against 1,000 alien ships was not a battle. It was suicide, but he saw the look in Ryan's eyes. The man needed to do something. They all did. "Get them ready," Jake said. "We'll show these aliens that humans don't give up easy." Ryan smiled for the first time that day. "Yes, sir." He ran off the bridge to prepare their tiny fleet. Dr. Carter looked up from her work. "Jake, I'm reading something strange." The alien ships are all exactly the same. Same size, same weapons, same everything. It's like they were all built by the same machine. What does that mean? Jake asked. I don't know yet, but humans don't build things the same way. Every human ship is a little different. Even our fighters out there, Ryan has modified each one. Jake thought about this. The aliens seemed to like everything to be perfect and ordered. Maybe that was how their whole empire worked. Everything the same, everything predicted, everything under control. A new sound came from the speakers. It was not the alien voice, it was music. Strange, beautiful music that seemed to come from the crystal ships themselves. The ships began to glow brighter as they moved into attack formation. They're preparing to fire, Lisa said. Her voice was quiet. Jake looked out at the alien fleet one more time. Soon, Kepler Station would be gone. But the message was already racing toward Earth. Someone would know what happened here. Someone would remember. All hands, prepare for battle, Jake said into the station's communication system. His voice reached every person on Kepler Station. This is our home. We will defend it. Outside, the alien ships began to move forward, and the purple light grew brighter. 3 days before the attack on Kepler Station, Admiral Kate Sullivan sat in a secret room deep under the mountains of Colorado. The room had no windows and thick metal walls. Only 5 people in the whole world were allowed inside. Kate looked at the message that had just arrived from Dr. Lisa Carter. The words were simple, but terrible. Alien fleet approaching Kepler Station. Request immediate help. We cannot fight them. Around the table sat the most important military people on Earth. General Bob Harris commanded all ground forces. Admiral Tony Clark was in charge of the regular Space Navy. Colonel Ben Harper ran special operations. Dr. Elena Martinez led the science division. How long do we have? General Harris asked. Kate checked her watch. The message took 3 days to reach us. By the time any normal fleet gets there, Kepler Station will be gone. Admiral Clark hit the table with his fist. We've lost 6 colonies already. Our best ships can't even scratch these aliens. Their technology is too advanced. Colonel Harper spoke quietly. Maybe it's time to tell them about Shadow Strike. The room went silent. Dr. Martinez looked nervous. General Harris stared at the table. Admiral Clark's eyes went wide. Are you sure? Kate asked. Once we use it, there's no going back. The whole galaxy will know what we can really do. For 6 months, Earth's leaders had been lying to everyone, including their own people. The ships that fought the aliens were old and weak on purpose. Every human who died in those battles was a terrible sacrifice, but it was part of a bigger plan. Kate stood up and walked to a wall that looked like solid metal. She pressed her hand against it. The wall opened, showing a hidden room filled with computer screens and blinking lights. Project Shadow Strike began 5 years ago, Kate said. Dr. Martinez, explain what we built. Dr. Martinez activated a large screen. It showed pictures of strange-looking ships. They did not look like normal human vessels. Instead of straight lines and simple shapes, these ships seemed to bend and twist. They looked like they were moving even when they were standing still. The aliens are very logical, Dr. Martinez said. They think in patterns. They can predict what normal technology will do, but these ships work differently. They use quantum mechanics and chaos theory. General Harris looked confused. In simple words, Doctor. Dr. Martinez smiled. The ships are unpredictable. The aliens can't figure out what they will do next because even we don't know for sure. Admiral Clark leaned forward. How is that possible? Human brains work differently than alien brains, Dr. Martinez explained. We can think in ways that seem random but actually make sense. We call it intuition. The aliens don't have intuition. They only have logic. Kate activated another screen. It showed a map of space with dozens of red dots. We have 30 ships ready. Each one is commanded by our best pilots, people who can think fast and make decisions that don't follow normal rules. Colonel Harper pulled out a file with pictures of the ship commanders. Captain Alex Stone will lead the mission. He's our best pilot, and he thinks like no one else. Commander Nina Ross will be his second. She's crazy enough to try anything. Kate looked at the pictures. Alex Stone was young, maybe 30 years old, with messy brown hair and bright eyes. Nina Ross was a few years older with short red hair and a smile that looked dangerous. What about the other commanders? General Harris asked. Colonel Harper flipped through more pictures. Lieutenant Paul Martinez, he's Elena's nephew. The kid can make ships do things that should be impossible. Communications Officer Sarah Jenkins, she can talk to people across space even when normal radios don't work. Intelligence Officer Greg Walsh, he can figure out what enemies are thinking before they know it themselves. Dr. Martinez brought up technical drawings of the ships. Each vessel can exist in multiple dimensions at the same time. They can be solid when they want to hit something and like ghosts when they want to avoid being hit. Admiral Clark shook his head. This sounds like magic, not science. Advanced science often looks like magic, Dr. Martinez said. The aliens think science must follow strict rules. Humans learn to break those rules in creative ways. Kate walked back to the main table. The alien empire has been expanding for thousands of years. They destroy any species that doesn't fit their perfect order. They think humans are just another primitive race. But we're not primitive, Colonel Harper said with a grin. We're chaotic. And chaos is the one thing they can't control. General Harris looked worried. What if this doesn't work? What if we lose our secret fleet? Kate was quiet for a moment. Then Earth prepares for war. But I don't think we'll lose. The aliens have one big weakness. They can't understand randomness. To them, everything must make logical sense. Dr. Martinez nodded. We've tested this theory. We showed alien technology patterns of human music, human art, and human games. The patterns confuse their computers every time. Human creativity is our weapon, Kate said. The aliens can copy our guns and missiles. They can't copy the way we think. Colonel Harper stood up. When do we launch? Kate checked her watch again. Now. Every minute we wait, more people on Kepler Station die. Within an hour, 30 ships lifted off from secret bases around Earth. They looked nothing like the ships people saw on the news. These vessels seemed to flicker in and out of existence as they climbed toward space. Captain Alex Stone sat in the command chair of the USS Liberty. The ship's bridge looked normal except for one thing. Instead of straight rows of control panels, everything was arranged in curves and spirals. The design hurt the eyes if you looked at it too long. All ships. This is Captain Stone, Alex said, into his communication device. Remember, we're not trying to be stronger than the aliens. We're trying to be more confusing. Commander Nina Ross's voice came back from the USS Defiance. Copy that, Alex. Time to show these crystal heads what human chaos looks like. The fleet moved toward Kepler Station using a new type of engine that folded space in impossible ways. Normal ships traveled in straight lines. These ships traveled in directions that had no names. Back on Earth, Admiral Kate Sullivan watched the ships disappear from her screens. Good luck, she whispered. Dr. Martinez sat at her computer, monitoring the mission. Kate, we're getting reports that the aliens have never faced anything like this before. Good, Kate said. It's time the galaxy learned that humans are not the weak species everyone thinks we are. The secret fleet raced through space toward a battle that would change everything. Captain Alex Stone felt his stomach twist as the USS Liberty jumped through space in ways that hurt to think about. The ship moved between dimensions like a fish, swimming through water that wasn't there. Outside the windows, space looked wrong. Stars appeared in colors that had no names and distances that made no sense. How much longer? Asked Lieutenant Commander Chris Wilson from his position at the weapons station. He was a thin man with nervous hands who could calculate impossible battle plans in his head. Chief Engineer Paul Martinez looked up from his control panel. His hands danced over buttons that changed position every few seconds. About 6 hours if we keep using the Chaos Drive. The ship is handling it well. Alex nodded. The Chaos Drive was their secret weapon for getting to places fast. Instead of moving in straight lines like normal ships, it took random paths through folded space. The aliens could not predict where the ship would go because the ship itself did not know until it got there. Paul, explain to the crew how this works, Alex said. They need to understand before we fight. Paul turned to face the bridge crew. He was young, maybe 25, with wild black hair and eyes that seemed to see things others missed. Normal space travel is like walking down a hallway, he said. You start at one end and walk to the other end. But our ships don't walk down hallways. Communications Officer Sarah Jenkins looked confused. She was a smart woman with long brown hair who could talk to people across impossible distances. Then, how do we travel? Paul smiled. We punch holes in the walls and climb through them. Then we punch more holes and climb through those. We get to our destination, but we take a path that doesn't exist on any map. Intelligence Officer Greg Walsh was studying reports from his station. He was a quiet man with sharp eyes who could figure out enemy plans before the enemies made them. The aliens are logical, he said. They think step A leads to step B, which leads to step C. But we go from step A to step Q to step F to step C. And that confuses them? Asked Sarah. It drives them crazy, Paul said with a laugh. Their computers try to predict where we'll go next, but our path is based on human intuition. Even we don't know what we'll do until we do it. Alex looked at the main screen. It showed their destination, but the numbers kept changing. Distance, time, and direction shifted every few seconds. Sarah? Any word from Kepler Station? Sarah worked at her communication panel. Unlike normal radio equipment, her system looked like it was built by someone who had never seen a radio before. Wires twisted in strange patterns, and screens showed symbols instead of numbers. I'm getting signals, Sarah said, but they're very weak. The alien ships are jamming most communications. What can you hear? Alex asked. Sarah listened to her strange equipment. Commander Morrison is still alive. The station is under attack, but they're fighting back. Their small fighters are trying to buy time. Greg looked up from his intelligence reports. I've been studying the alien attack patterns. They always do the same thing. First, they surround the target. Then they demand surrender. Then they destroy everything. How long do they usually take? Alex asked. About 3 hours from start to finish, Greg said. But Alex, I'm seeing something interesting in their communications. They're confused about something. Confused about what? Greg pulled up a translation of alien messages on his screen. They keep talking about disorder patterns and chaos signals. I think they're detecting our ships, but they can't understand what they're seeing. Paul laughed. Good. That means our technology is working. Through the ship's communication system, they could hear Commander Nina Ross from the USS Defiance. Alex, my engineer is reporting some strange readings. The aliens seem to be scanning space looking for something. They're looking for us, Alex said. But they can't find us because we're not really here. What do you mean we're not really here? Asked Chris Wilson. Paul tried to explain. Our ships exist in multiple places at the same time. We're here, but we're also there and also somewhere else. The aliens can only see one place at a time, so they get confused. The main screen showed they were getting close to Kepler Station, but the view was strange. Sometimes they could see the station clearly. Sometimes it looked like it was far away. Sometimes it seemed to be in two places at once. Sarah, can you contact the station directly? Alex asked. Sarah worked with her equipment for several minutes. Finally, she got a clear signal. This is the USS Liberty calling Kepler Station. Commander Morrison, can you hear me? Jake Morrison's voice came through the speakers. He sounded tired and scared. This is Morrison. Who is this? Are you from Earth? We're here to help, Alex said, taking the communication device. How bad is your situation? We've lost 2 of our fighters, Jake said. The alien ships are getting ready for their final attack. We have maybe 30 minutes left. Alex looked at his crew. They were still an hour away from Kepler Station, even with the Chaos Drive. Jake, hold on. We're coming. How many ships do you have? Jake asked. 30, Alex said. There was silence on the communication channel. Then Jake's voice came back, very quiet. There are over 1,000 alien ships here. 30 ships won't be enough. Alex smiled. Jake, these aren't normal ships. Trust me. Greg looked up from his intelligence station. Alex, I'm intercepting alien communications. They're talking about us. They know something is coming, but they can't figure out what. What are they saying? Alex asked. Greg read from his screen. Something like, disorder approaches from impossible direction, and chaos patterns detected but location unknown. They sound worried. They should be worried, Paul said. They've never fought humans before, real humans. What do you mean? Asked Sarah. The ships they've been fighting were old models, Paul explained. Earth sent those ships on purpose to make the aliens think humans were weak. But we're not weak. We're just different. Chris Wilson ran calculations on his weapon system. Alex, when we get there, what's the plan? Alex thought for a moment. There is no plan. Everyone on the bridge stared at him. I'm serious, Alex said. Plans are logical. The aliens can predict logical plans. Instead, we'll do whatever feels right in the moment. That sounds dangerous, Chris said. Not dangerous, Alex replied. Creative. Paul, how long until we arrive? Paul checked his instruments. 20 minutes. But Alex, I should warn you, when we drop out of the Chaos Drive near the alien fleet, they're going to notice us immediately. Good, Alex said. I want them to notice us. Nina Ross's voice came through the communication system again. All ships, this is Commander Ross. I hope everyone is ready for the strangest battle in human history. Alex picked up the communication device. All ships, this is Captain Stone. Remember, we're not trying to be better than the aliens. We're trying to be more human than they can handle. Through the speakers, they could hear Jake Morrison's voice from Kepler Station. Unknown ships. The aliens are starting their final attack. Please hurry. Alex looked at his crew. Paul was ready at the engineering station. Sarah had her communication equipment prepared. Chris was checking weapons. Greg was monitoring enemy positions. Everyone ready? Alex asked. They all nodded. Then let's show the galaxy what human chaos looks like. The USS Liberty and 29. Other ships prepared to drop out of their impossible journey and face an enemy that had never lost a battle. The space around Kepler Station filled with purple light as the alien ships charged their weapons for the final attack. Commander Jake Morrison watched from the station's bridge as 1,000 crystal vessels moved into perfect formation. Each ship glowed brighter as death approached. Shields at 20%, Ryan Blake reported from his security station. Jake, we can't take another hit. Dr. Lisa Carter was still working at her science station, trying to understand the alien technology. Jake, I'm detecting something strange. There are energy readings coming from empty space. What kind of readings? Jake asked. I don't know. It's like there are ships out there, but I can't see them. Suddenly, the space near the alien fleet began to twist and bend. Reality seemed to fold in on itself, creating shapes that hurt to look at. The alien ship stopped moving as their sensors tried to understand what was happening. Then 30 human ships appeared out of nowhere, but they did not appear the way normal ships did. Instead of coming out of hyperspace in straight lines, they seemed to unfold from dimensions that should not exist. The USS Liberty materialized inside the alien formation, occupying the same space as 3 enemy vessels without touching them. What the hell? Ryan Blake whispered. Captain Alex Stone's voice came through the communication system. Kepler Station, this is Captain Stone. Stay clear of the alien ships. Things are about to get interesting. On the bridge of the USS Liberty, Alex looked at the main screen. They were surrounded by alien vessels, but the enemy ships could not lock weapons on them. Paul, make us solid. Chris, target the big ship in the center. Chief Engineer Paul Martinez worked at his control panel. Switching to combat phase. We're now solid in this dimension. The USS Liberty became fully real just as Lieutenant Commander Chris Wilson fired the ship's main weapon. But the weapon did not work like normal human guns. Instead of shooting energy beams or missiles, it fired pure chaos. The beam hit the alien command ship, and the vessel simply stopped making sense. Its crystal structure began changing shape randomly. Parts of the ship became transparent, while other parts became too solid. The ship's perfect order was replaced by beautiful, terrifying chaos. The alien commander's voice came through the communication channels, but now it sounded afraid. Impossible patterns detected. Order systems failing. What are these creatures? Commander, Nina Ross's ship, the USS Defiance, appeared directly above a group of alien vessels. Instead of firing down at them, her ship created a gravity bubble that pulled the enemy ships in different directions at the same time. This is Ross. Nina's voice came through the communication system. These aliens really don't like it when physics stops making sense. Intelligence Officer Greg Walsh was monitoring alien communications from his station on the Liberty. Alex, they're trying to adapt their shields, but they can't figure out what to adapt to. Why not? Alex asked. Because our weapons work differently. Every time we fire them, Greg said with a smile. The chaos field changes the rules of physics randomly. Communications Officer Sarah Jenkins was talking to all 30 human ships at once, coordinating attacks that followed no logical pattern. Baker Squadron phased through their left wing. Charlie Squadron attacked from below and above at the same time. On the main screen, Alex watched the battle unfold. Human ships appeared and disappeared, existing in multiple places at once. They fired weapons that obeyed different laws of physics with each shot. Some beams made alien ships heavier than planets. Others made them lighter than air. Some weapons turned the crystal ships into liquid. Others froze them in time. The aliens tried to fight back, but their perfect logical weapons could not hit targets that existed in quantum superposition. Every time they aimed at a human ship, the ship was somewhere else, or everywhere else, or nowhere at all. "Status report," Alex called out. 15 alien ships destroyed, Chris Wilson reported. 20 more are retreating. The rest are trying to regroup, but they can't form proper formations. Paul Martinez laughed as he worked his controls. "Alex, I'm reading their computer systems. They're overloading. Their logical processors can't handle our chaos fields." From Kepler Station, Jake Morrison watched the impossible battle. Human ships were winning against overwhelming odds by fighting in ways that made no sense. "Lisa, are you recording this?" "Doctor." Carter nodded, her eyes wide with amazement. "Every second. Jake, these ships are violating at least a dozen laws of physics that I thought were absolute." The alien fleet began to fall apart. Ships that had moved in perfect coordination now scattered in panic. Their crystal formations broke as individual. Vessels tried to escape the chaos fields spreading through space. "Greg, what are the aliens saying now?" Alex asked. Greg listened to his translation equipment. "They're calling us Chaos Bringers and Order Destroyers. But Alex, listen to this. They're also calling us the dangerous species that thinks in forbidden patterns." Alex smiled. "Forbidden patterns. I like that." On the USS Defiance, Nina Ross was having the time of her life. Her ship phased through solid matter to appear inside. An alien vessel then became solid just long enough to tear the enemy ship apart from the inside. "Alex, you should try this," Nina called out. "I just convinced an alien ship that it was made of water instead of crystal." The battle was lasting less than 5 minutes, but it felt like hours. Human ships danced through space in patterns that followed musical rhythms instead of military tactics. They attacked with weapons that were part science and part art. Lieutenant Paul Martinez made his ship exist in 7 dimensions at once, confusing an entire squadron of alien vessels. "Uncle Elena was right," he said to himself. "Human consciousness really is the ultimate weapon." Communications officer Sarah Jenkins managed to hack into the alien command network using intuition instead of computer code. "Alex, I'm inside their communication system. They're completely confused. Half their fleet is asking for orders, but their commanders don't know what orders to give." The alien command ship, still twisted by chaos, tried one last desperate attack. It fired its most powerful weapon at the USS Liberty. The beam should have destroyed any normal ship. Instead, the chaos field around the Liberty turned the alien weapon into something harmless. The deadly energy beam became a shower of flower petals that floated gently through space. "That's impossible," the alien commander's voice said through the communication system. "We're human," Alex replied. "Impossible is what we do." More alien ships began retreating, fleeing in directions that led away from the strange human vessels. Those that stayed to fight found their weapons turning into random objects. Energy beams became ribbons of light. Missiles became butterflies. Shields became mirrors that reflected their own confusion back at them. "Alex," Greg called out, "the aliens are broadcasting a message to their empire. They're warning other fleets to stay away from human space." "What exactly are they saying?" Alex asked. Greg read from his screen. "They're calling us the species that weaponized madness. They say fighting us is like trying to defeat a dream with logic." On Kepler Station, Ryan Blake watched the last alien ships disappear into hyperspace. "Jake, they're running. All of them. 1,000 ships, and they're running from 30 humans." Jake Morrison could hardly believe what he had seen. "Get me Captain Stone," Alex's voice came through the communication system. "This is Stone." "Captain, what just happened here?" Jake asked. "We showed the aliens that humans are not the weak species they thought we were," Alex said. "We're something much more dangerous. We're creative." The battle was over. In less than 5 minutes, the human fleet had defeated an alien armada that had never lost a fight. But more importantly, they had announced to the galaxy that humanity was not just another primitive species to be conquered, The real war was just beginning. Captain Alex Stone stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty and watched the last alien ships disappear into the darkness of space. Where moments before there had been 1,000 crystal vessels preparing to destroy Kepler Station, now there was only empty space filled with floating debris and flower petals. "All ships, report status," Alex said into the communication system. One by one, the 30 human ships checked in. Not a single vessel had been lost. A few had minor damage from pushing. Their chaos drives too hard, but everyone was alive. Commander Nina Ross's voice came through with laughter in it. "Alex, that was the most fun I've ever had in a spaceship. Did you see that alien ship try to turn itself inside out?" "I saw it," Alex replied. "Paul, how are our systems?" Chief Engineer Paul Martinez looked up from his control panel. His wild hair was even wilder now, and his eyes were bright with excitement. "All systems green. The Chaos Drive is actually working better now. I think it likes being used in combat." Lieutenant Commander Chris Wilson was studying his weapons readings. "Alex, our guns fired 17 different types of energy during the battle. I don't even know what half of them were." "That's the point," Alex said. "If we don't know what we're shooting, the aliens definitely don't know what's hitting them." Communications. Officer Sarah Jenkins was monitoring space around them. "Alex, I'm picking up signals from across the galaxy. News of this battle is spreading fast." Intelligence Officer Greg Walsh nodded from his station. "The alien empire is in chaos. Their commanders are arguing about what to do next. Some want to attack Earth with everything they have. Others want to retreat to the far side of the galaxy." "What about other alien species?" Alex asked. Greg smiled. "That's the interesting part. Other species that the Vexthari have been threatening are asking questions about humans. Some want to be our allies. On Kepler Station, Commander Jake Morrison was coordinating rescue operations for his damaged outpost. Dr. Lisa Carter was studying the strange readings left behind by the human ships. "Jake, you need to see this," Lisa said. "The human ships didn't just use advanced technology. They used technology that changes the rules of physics itself." Jake looked at her data. "What does that mean?" "It means humans aren't just another species with better guns," Lisa said. "They've learned to weaponize creativity itself. They turned randomness into a military advantage." Security Chief Ryan Blake joined them on the bridge. "Jake, I've been talking to Captain Stone. He says this was just a test. Earth has been preparing for a real war." "A real war?" Jake asked. "Against the entire Vexthari Empire," Ryan said. "This battle proved that human chaos technology works. Now they're going to use it to free every species the aliens have conquered." Back on Earth, Admiral Kate Sullivan sat in her secret command center and watched reports coming in from across the galaxy. The victory at Kepler Station had changed everything. Dr. Elena Martinez was analyzing data from the battle. "Kate, the results are better than we hoped. The alien empire is starting to collapse. When your enemies can't predict your actions, they can't plan defenses." Colonel Ben Harper looked at intelligence reports. "Admiral, we're getting communication requests from 12 different alien species. They all want to know if humans will help them fight the Vexthari." General Bob Harris studied strategic maps. "Kate, this changes our entire situation. Instead of defending Earth from invasion, we could be leading a galaxy-wide rebellion." Kate nodded. For years, humans had pretended to be weak while secretly developing technology that could defeat any logical enemy. Now the secret was out, and the galaxy would never be the same. "What's the status of our fleet?" Kate asked. Colonel Harper checked his reports. "All 30 ships are operational. Captain Stone is requesting permission to escort Kepler Station's survivors back to Earth." "Granted," Kate said. "But tell him to be ready for new orders. This war is just beginning." On the USS Liberty, Alex was talking to his crew about what came next. "We've shown the aliens that they can't predict us," he said. "Now we need to help other species learn to think creatively too." Paul Martinez looked confused. "How do you teach creativity?" "You don't teach it," Alex said. "You set it free. Every species in the galaxy has been forced to think logically by the Vexthari, but logic isn't the only way to solve problems." Sarah Jenkins was receiving messages from across human space. "Alex, Earth wants us to visit 3 more star systems. All of them have human colonies under alien threat." "And after that?" Alex asked. Greg Walsh pulled up star charts showing the entire galaxy. After that, we start visiting alien species who want to learn human techniques. We're going to teach the galaxy how to be unpredictable. Chris Wilson checked his weapons systems. Are we going to give other species chaos technology? We're going. To give them something better, Alex said. We're going to teach them to think like humans. Days later, news of the Battle of Kepler Station reached every corner of the galaxy. The Vexithari Empire, which had conquered thousands of worlds through superior logic and predictable technology, suddenly faced an enemy they could not understand. Species that had been enslaved for centuries began to hope. Pirates and rebels started using random tactics instead of planned strategies. Artists began designing weapons that followed musical patterns instead of military logic. The galaxy was learning to be chaotic, and the Vexithari Empire was learning to be afraid. In the Secret Command Center on Earth, Admiral Kate Sullivan received a message from the Vexithari High Command. It was the first time the aliens had directly contacted Earth's leadership. Humans, the message said, your species violates the natural order of the universe. You must be controlled or destroyed. Kate smiled as she recorded her response. We are humans, she said. We don't follow the natural order. We create new orders every day. If you want to control us, you'll have to catch us first, and we're very good at being impossible to catch. The message was sent across the galaxy for everyone to hear. Captain Alex Stone stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vexithari Empire was trying to figure out how to fight an enemy that used madness as a weapon. Other alien species were learning that logic was not the only path to victory. Paul set course for the Epsilon. System, Alex said. The colonies there need our help. Yes, sir, Paul said. Chaos drive ready. As the USS Liberty and its fleet prepared to jump to their next battle, Alex thought about what Dr. Martinez had said years ago when the project began. Human consciousness was unlike anything else in the galaxy. It could think in ways that broke the rules of logic itself. The aliens had made one terrible mistake. They had assumed that randomness was a weakness, but humans had turned their chaotic nature into the ultimate strength. The war for the galaxy's freedom had begun, and humanity was leading it with weapons made of pure creativity. Outside the ship's windows, space folded in impossible ways as the human fleet disappeared into dimensions that had no names, heading toward battles that would be won with strategies that had never been tried before. The galaxy would never be the same.